All right, we're back after I feel like it's been like a month or like almost a
Weeks
month
at
since
least. Yeah.
we did the last episode, but we're back. Football with the Great American Youth, the last episode of this season. We've come to the conclusion. It was week 18 or week 17 rather. Final weekend of the fantasy football season was crazy. We'll talk about it. Very unique season for us and a very unique end to it. So we'll get into it
We'll
and
get in. Yeah.
start. We'll start with some real NFL stuff first. So
Unfortunately, since we last saw you, our Commanders were holding the seventh spot, and they were holding it pretty tight. They held it till pretty much the second to last week, and then Ron Rivera didn't know he could be eliminated. So that happened, and the Packers obviously eliminated us. And then I'm just glad they got eliminated at the end of the day.
yes,
That's
better.
all that matters. I mean, we got the 16th pick in the draft. Not ideal with the season we had, but very mid-season, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean it was just Carson Wentz experiment clearly just failed. I don't know what we're gonna do at quarterback next year. It kind of feels like, and like you said, the 16th pick, it's not really high enough to get one of the top quarterback prospects.
No,
I think beyond like Bryce Young and Stroud, I don't really think any of the other quarterbacks are that good or like anyone who would really push this team immediately. Levis, Richardson, they're both kind of more project guys, not guys who are going to start year one and like actually do something. 16, we're not going to get that. So I feel like we're going to end up with Heineke next year or Derek Carr or
realistically,
something like, or Garoppolo, just something like
another
probably
mid quarterback.
average as Wentz realistically. Hopefully better than Wentz because Wentz was below average. Heineke was better than Wentz, but
Yeah,
still, this season was good, but it's very clear quarterback is the missing piece. And if we had a decent quarterback, I feel like a lot would be different.
I agree. All right, let's take a look at that playoff bracket. So obviously these are the teams that made it, in case you were living under a rock. I gotta say, I'm pretty confident in the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, I see them cleaning up the Seahawks. I don't think that's gonna be a problem for them. And then I guess they play the winner of the Vikings Giants. Even if they play the winner of the Cowboys Bucks, I wouldn't be worried about either of those teams. I just don't think there's a real threat in the NFC besides maybe the Eagles, but they've looked shaky these last few weeks. What do you think there?
I don't know. It's definitely I mean, Purdy's been like it's just how like much faith do you have in Purdy? Because up until this point, he's like had nothing go wrong. He's proven that he's been the best quarterback San Francisco's had the past few years. But
I agree.
can he keep that up in the playoffs? If he can,
I don't see Garoppolo taking over that job.
I don't at this point, no. If Garoppolo's healthy, he's not coming back. But if Purdy can continue that level of play through the playoffs, then yes, they're probably making it out of the NFC. But I don't know. The Vikings are like Vikings. I think the Vikings beat the Giants. They're difficult. Brady in the playoffs. There's no telling. Like that could just end up.
That's the other team.
No reason.
Brady
Like
in the playoffs. I
they
think
could.
the winner of that Cowboys Bucks game, keep an eye on them. I mean,
Yes,
the Cowboys have had their problems against the Bucks, and I think if they can handle business, this could be their year. I don't want to say anything. That winning on the road has been a struggle for them, but if they could do that, I can see that being huge. And if you give Brady one win in the playoffs, I don't see how they lose the Eagles. I don't see how they lose.
And I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in the Eagles. Interestingly enough, I just don't see them making it out of the NFC. I mean, maybe they do, but like it's just not. I don't know. Just don't really see it.
There's no team you can really trust in the NFC. If I had to pick a team, it would be the 49ers.
Definitely.
AFC side. I don't know where you want to start there.
The AFC is definitely, I mean, the Bengals definitely, I think, I mean, obviously the circumstances crazy, but Bengals got a bit hard done by the rule change, and that wasn't really good for them. I still feel like it's going to end up being Buffalo. I don't know. I think Buffalo just kind of has it. I think this is not really. I mean, Hamlin. I don't know. I feel like that is like some type of crazy other stuff. All the like circumstance, like the 3 stuff with their game after that. I don't know. This could just be their year because of that. Like they just have something.
Do too.
Like,
I think that.
like that. But even outside of that, the Bills have been crazy this year. And when they're on, they're definitely the best team in the league. I think I feel like the Bills can make it out of the AFC for sure.
I think if you gave me, I think it's between three teams. I think it's Bills, Bengals, Chiefs. And I don't see any way. I mean, the Jaguars are hot. I don't see any way they beat the Chiefs, even if they're hot. Chiefs, I mean, the Chargers play the Chiefs well. I don't see the Chiefs losing in the playoffs. I think we can both agree Chiefs are moving on to the semifinals. That's a lock. Ravens, Bengals. I mean, if Lamar's not playing, first of all, that's not even a question. Not even a question. But even if he is healthy, I don't see him coming back after missing 5 weeks and beating his Joe Burrow team that's won like 6 or 7 in a row. Like,
I would say the Bengals are kind of playing crazy right
scary.
now. They just washed them.
Watch out for them. They were before the Damar Hamlin stuff too. They were looking good in that game. They were 7-3, about to score again. Like,
no, the Bengals.
I don't want to say anything. I mean, it wasn't Cincinnati too. Like, that helps.
The Bengals are definitely a threat, and if they end up getting through to the next round, I mean, whoever they play is going to be
Bills Bengals. That's the thing. I don't know who. I couldn't pick a team between the two. I seriously couldn't pick between Bills Bengals.
That's going to be crazy, especially how the Bengals have been playing recently. This is like the best. This is peak Bengals. When the Bengals are at their best, what team is like the AFC just has a combination of 3 offenses that when they're playing at their best, no team can really beat them. KC, when Mahomes and all of them are functioning like at the top level, can't beat them. Buffalo, same thing, and the Bengals, same thing. So it's just going to be.
And all 3 of them are playing at their peak right now.
Interesting to see how all that plays out.
I'm excited to watch.
All right, so we're going to talk about, I guess, our playoff bracket now, fantasy football. Obviously, I guess last time we talked, we had our first round matchups. Adwin missed it, but Matt, Alex, and Matt Cohen. Matt ended up beating Adwin. He talked his talk. He ended up getting through to play Sammy in the next round. And Alex ended up losing to Matt Cohen. So the 2 Matts made it through. Ended up playing Sammy and Ian. The 2 bye weeks proved that they earned their bye weeks. I mean, it was kind of clear who the best teams were in the league to us. They made it to the finals. And I mean, it was, not too much to say about that. They earned their spots there. 2 best teams, but
by far. And before we welcome them on, surprise ruined, sorry. Before we welcome them both on, just gonna say this was a crazy year. I really think they both had the best teams all year. And they really showed they deserve to be in the finals. So I'm excited to talk to them, hear about what happened with them.
Yeah, and it was definitely this year. I mean, just top to bottom, like, it's a very unique year. Fantasy football, I feel like we all kind of drafted pretty bad. I mean, equally made poor decisions, a lot of stuff, just like a lot of players who we were expecting to be up there didn't really do that. But Ian and Sammy's teams, they stayed stacked, ended up, withholding through injury, and obviously made it to the finals. So good on them. They earned their spots there, and we got 1 in now.
Welcome, Ian. What's up?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Doing well. Appreciate y'all.
Good to have you on. We're just talking about how you took out Matt Cohen to make it to the finals to obviously play Sammy. We're not going to get into that yet, but we're waiting for Sammy to get on here any second now.
Yeah. It's a great picture of me.
Oh yeah.
Your complexion. So
welcome.
What's up?
How you doing?
Doing great.
Good to have you on. We're just talking about how you did this last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, beating Matt Levin to make it to the finals. Now you're playing Ian. We're not going to get into it, but we're going to first talk through the superlatives, and we want to get your opinion on them. Obviously, because you 2 had the best fantasy opinions, I guess, or
so you guys on the year. Best 2 teams, so we have to get your input on these.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for.
Rookie of the year, Adwin. I guess this was kind of a shoo-in because he was a first-year person. It was a lock, but he did well. 7-7. His team, I think we all kind of ragged on his team a decent amount, but he performed well. He did better than both me and Jacob. So, we can't really talk bad on him, but he had a
Yeah.
solid team. Adwin did all right for his first year in the league. A lot of people have done worse to start off with.
Oh, 100%. You guys, any comments about Adwin throughout the season?
I think
Yeah, I
that
mean-
you can go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I actually watched Rookie of the Year last night. It's the dog shit movie, but other than that, no, I think he had a solid team. I think he had got pretty unlucky this year with matchups. I think a lot of teams went off against him, but he made the playoffs. I mean, first year you can't really ask for much better. Pretty decent squad, funny team name. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of people counted Adwin out earlier in the year. I think he had kind of a rocky start, but he definitely had like one of the top teams to close out the year. So Adwin definitely had a good run. So kudos to you, Adwin. Good job.
I think I said it on this podcast that he had the worst team midway through the year, and look at what happened. Me and Anthony had the worst teams, so it's funny how it turns out.
Yeah.
Speaking of what happened, Yusuke just had an unfortunate year. I mean, his team, he scored, I think, out of like the team that didn't make the playoffs, he had the most points. He's ranked the rankings here are like the final standings, based off the losers bracket stuff too. So he ended up finishing with the second worst record at the end of that. So his team just really fell apart at the end of the season. He wasn't able to hold up. His team, honestly, like probably deserved to be in the playoffs just off of the players he had, but it didn't work out. Obviously, Adwin made it in above him, and he ended up falling out in the losers bracket too. So unfortunate for Yusuke.
Definitely.
Yeah, Yusuke had a pretty good team. Like he had some solid players. Like he had Jalen Hurts, Devontae Adams. I remember during the draft, Yusuke said that my team would have been really good in like 2010. And he had like Zeke, Devontae
Alvin
Adams,
Kamara.
Alvin Kamara. Like he had a bunch of guys that actually like Yusuke spoke it into existence. But
He also pretty much gave up a win. Sleeping and not setting his lineup.
Letting
So
me win. Oh yeah.
Yeah, his team was pretty solid. I think all those guys I think he probably should have made the playoffs with that. Remember, he beat me on like a 50-yard Devontae touchdown. So I thought his team was pretty stacked. I think Hurts alone like carried a bunch of leagues to the playoffs in ESPN. He was like the most used guy for any playoff team. But yeah, what happened?
I think
What
Yusuke had like the
What
same problem as a lot of people where like he had a really good team, but it just wasn't consistent enough to get the job done. But a good team nonetheless.
I couldn't agree more. Well said. Most fraudulent team. I think this is pretty obvious. We talked about this a lot. I specifically want to speak on this Matt Levin one. I don't think he faced a team. I'm 99% confident he didn't face a team that scored over 100 points in over 10 weeks. The final 10 weeks of the season until he got eliminated by Sammy, who scored like 101, right? It was 101, I believe.
Something like that.
It's ironic. And he finished in 4th place. That's the kind of that's fraudulent there, right there. I hope he's listening to this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my team had like 81 against him. It was my worst week. They thought they could take a bye week because they knew they were playing Matt.
Yeah, I think he definitely got some lucky breaks from all of us. I don't know how he finished at 9-5. If you told me that he was at 500 or below 500, he was at like 3-5.
Yeah.
Literally all hit the schedule.
I think when you guys had me on the first time, Joel was like first place, and we were all knew he was gonna fall. Like it was so obvious his team was
It was
mid.
just a matter of when.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say Joel's more of like an honorable mention here. Obviously, he didn't make the playoffs, but for so long, Joel was like just holding on to a playoff spot, and his team didn't score any points. I mean, his team was just not very good. So, again, I'm saying this as the last place team, but
we don't have much right to talk.
Fraudulent performance from Joel this season as well.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon just wasn't enough to carry Joel, but you got it next year, Joel. Joel always gets champs.
Joel's always
competing for the
I'm
best.
pretty sure Joe Mixon had 52 points against my team.
That's brutal.
Yeah, I don't know if he got like over like 15 points after that.
Mhm.
All right, next one. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Matt Cohen and Alex. They both had on paper before this. If you look at their team before the season started, take back all the injuries, they could easily have been in the finals right now with the teams they had, the quality of the teams they've had. Especially Matt Cohen, I want to say. With
Yeah.
he had
I mean-
Brees Hall, Javonte Williams. There's definitely more people I'm missing.
Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, Jamar Chase and what exactly.
And Alex beat Sammy in the regular season. He was the first one. I mean, that like definitely, I mean, just at that point to have been beating your team when you were undefeated definitely was, you
That
know,
was
speak
shocking.
towards how many points his team could put up. And it was like, all right, he is one of the better teams in the league, but both of them just ended up fizzling out. Cohen almost making it to the finals. He just couldn't pull through. And it was just, you know, not what their seasons could have been. Definitely unfortunate for Cohen in particular. This is just like every year for him. He like scores a lot of
Gets the
points,
injury bug.
and then
Yeah.
he never wins.
Cohen's team was, I thought, really, really good. I get lucky. Jamar Chase always puts up like 2 points against my team, but he has AJ Brown, Waddle, and Chase have to be like the best receivers in our league. And then his running backs weren't bad either.
Walker.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker was usually good. I mean, I think just Tua threw like a bunch of picks the last game. I thought him and like Waddle and Tua might end up sending him there, but Tua kind of fell flat.
He did. Definitely did.
Cohen definitely had a good team this year, but it's all about like players performing during the playoffs. And like Cohen always like drafts like a really good team. They always fall flat in the playoffs. So it's crazy how that consistently happens.
It's not even strategy or anything, too. Like it's not like you can draft a team per se that I guess maybe avoiding players that get injured a lot, but like it's not like he did. Javonte Williams, Brees Hall.
Yeah. But at the end, like he also lost Tua and he had Waddle as well. So yeah, fantasy is all about injuries and week to week matchups. So he's got unlucky.
Definitely.
Already revealed the last slide on accident, but Dumb and Dumber were the host of the podcast and ended up finishing with the worst records in the regular season. We, you know, I don't know why we're talking about fantasy football, but having like teams that are so terrible,
We
it
don't
kind of
deserve to be
doesn't
running
really
this podcast right now. Really, you two should take over right now.
Yeah, so I feel like we should just pass it off to people who are winning games because we didn't do very much of that, and we're just fighting each other for last place at the end of the season, pretty much.
I think maybe you guys were too focused on the podcast.
We were too dedicated to the game. We weren't.
Definitely.
Next season, we're really going to lock in. You know, it was an adjustment period.
At the end of the day, either you win or you don't, and at least you guys had fun.
That's true.
We made something
Jacob,
else.
like I think like you like got one thing that hurt your team was Deebo Samuel. Like you drafted him pretty early.
Yeah,
Fuck
He
me.
definitely didn't. Like
I would have
definitely
done the same.
seen
I
him
love
having a
Debo
good year.
going in the draft.
Debo, Najee, Debo were my first two picks. Third pick or fourth pick was Cam Akers.
And obviously Anthony drafting Jonathan Taylor, like honestly, like that was almost the nail in the coffin right there.
Yeah, I
Just
mean, still,
not
I had
panning out.
Taylor, Chubb. I feel like Taylor and Chubb should have been enough. I did draft Kyle Pitts pretty high.
Chubb was easily an RB1.
He was RB1 for most of the season. Like even with Taylor doing, like Taylor was just so bad that having an RB1 didn't matter.
Yeah.
That sucks.
All right, and as we said, we were going to wait until we got to the championship to talk about that. But you two were in the finals. We, I guess, have a fantasy champion now, kinda, sorta. We've anointed one. And I guess, yeah, we'll let you guys talk about it. What happened? How did we finish off the season?
It was, obviously going into it, it was pretty much projected to be a tie or close to it. I think I might have been projected to win by a couple, but not many. And then going into Monday Night Football, it was supposed to be like, I think me by like 3 or a couple like that. So naturally the game starts. I think I'm supposed to win by 2. Obviously, DeMar Hamlin happens, and they had to cancel the game. Obviously, thank God he's okay, but it was pretty much supposed to be a tie anyway. So, did the right thing. Could have done a million different things to decide a winner, but felt like we both had deserved it, fought hard at that point. So, splitting the championship felt like the right thing.
Yeah, it was definitely an anticlimactic finish. Um, Me and Ian definitely both had a pretty good teams, so I felt at the end of the day like I was fine splitting the championship with him, and it just kind of made sense. There wasn't really a better way to do it.
Yeah, well, let's show the matchup. Maybe get the people's opinion on who could have won. I mean, it really would have been down to the wire. I don't think it's fair to declare a winner in this case. Diggs, Burrow could have easily combined. Oh, and McPherson could have easily combined for 40, or they could have easily not. Like, you never know, depending on how the game could have went. And obviously Ian had Bills defense too, so that plays a factor. I think calling it a tie is the only thing he really could have done in this case. What about you,
Yeah,
Anthony? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say tie really does just make the most sense, especially since they decided not to replay the game. I guess you could have tried to do the week 18 stats, but it's just not really the same. Like, it's a different matchup. You're just not like it's not really equivalent. I don't think that's a good substitute for it. So I agreed with the decision. There was some dissent on it, mainly from Matt Levin, because
He
I
needs a
don't know.
winner.
Yeah, he just had to
That guy's a loser.
he just had to do something, but it was fair. I think it makes sense, and both of y'all got money out of it. So honestly, like, good on y'all. Makes sense for both of you guys.
one thing that kind of annoys me is that like I was just debating all week on like who to play and studying matchups and whatnot.
All that
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
wasted.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
I was
Football
freaking
season.
out about if I should start Jahan Dotson over Christian Watson and shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it did play a role though. I mean, like, if the score was different, do you guys think you would have still settled in a tie? Do you think it was because the score was so close?
Yeah, I think if someone was projected to win by maybe 10 to 15, then maybe you split it like 75-25. You split it or like you just give it to the winner. It really could have gone either way. I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah, and especially how that game started. I mean, just like the Bengals pretty much immediately getting a touchdown. You can't judge you can't judge the whole game so quickly like that. So
Yeah.
Definitely.
kind of made.
Yeah. I think yeah, I'm looking at my team, and I think you guys mentioned the reason some teams make it in the playoffs. I think the best thing to do is just load up on number one options on teams. I was like, okay, Miles Sanders, he's their number one back. Kelsey's the number one target on the Chiefs. Cooper and Metcalf, number one targets on their teams, and then the running backs. I think they're not all going to do well, but one of them's bound to have a 20+ point week every week at least. So I think that's always an easy thing to do.
I thought I was doing that. I thought Kyle Pitts was going to be number one. I thought Jonathan Taylor was going to be. I just guessed wrong on all these things. And to be fair, some of these guys are on it depends on how good the team is. You think the Eagles played really well this year. McCaffrey moving to the Niners. They're obviously one of the best teams in the NFC. Saquon had one of the best years of his career. So I guess you have to factor that in as well. But just
I'd like to shout out DK Metcalf for the 0.8 points on fantasy championship week.
Yeah.
He got the sauce treatment. It happened to me too with Diggs. Sauce Gardner is unreal. Had a crazy year.
Amari Cooper showed out though. Give him that. Yeah, Sauce Gardner.
One of his touchdowns, he shouldn't have even scored. Really, whoever the DB he was guard, I think it was Kendall Fuller. He just kind of let him go by.
I'd like to thank the Washington Commanders.
You're welcome. No, the refs, honestly, a little bit.
Yeah, them too.
Reflecting on my team, one thing I wanted to mention is that I was really close to drafting Matthew Stafford over Joe Burrow because I had Cooper Cup. So I was like thinking like I could have a Cup and Stafford connection, but if I made that decision, that would have costed me the finals for sure.
Championship. Oh, 100%. Not even a question because you would have hit Lamar too. But
Yeah.
Lamar's out too, so Stafford. Yeah, you would have had a waiver wire QB, and that would have done it.
Didn't go great. That would
That
not-
decision ended up meaning a lot.
Another thing I wanted to say just about like how I draft my team is that like I normally I like to draft a lot of players that I just like watching. Like you'll notice that like I played Deontay Johnson like almost every week, where it's like looking back, like I was really just trying to like speak that into existence. Like that did not work out at all. But I like watching the Steelers, so that's kind of how I draft my team. You know, like I like having Bengals players, Bills. I draft people that I like to watch. So I think that's an important aspect to all this.
Definitely.
This is really random, but I'm pretty sure I had like the lowest average by a kicker ever in a fantasy season. My kickers got like 1 point a week. I would always start the wrong one. It was like Gano, I'd start him. He'd get 1 point. Okay, no, I'll start Bucker. Oh, Gano got 20 on the bench. Now Bucker got -2.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, it quietly makes a difference sometimes.
Yeah, no, kicker was like a lot of games this season, honestly, were won by solid kicker performances.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out Greg Joseph for his 1 point.
All right, so I guess that's it. We've come to the end here where, I don't know what's gonna happen with this. We might do this again next year, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But this was fun. It was fun to
we
do this
are.
podcast. Fun
I
to have
think you guys
on.
should do it again next year.
We'll just do it every year. We'll continue to like hassle y'all guys into doing
Podcast every
it
week.
every year forever until like one of us wins it or something.
I'm all for it. I think it'd be great if you guys did it again and then finished last again.
If that happens, we're definitely not. There won't be a third.
Nah,
I'll tell you that much.
and I was like last for so long as well. Like I lost so many games and I can't do that. I can't lose like 8 more games in a row and continue to do this. I might
You should have had to get racing stripes again.
Oh God, no. No.
That would
I
be-
still have the stupid t-shirt. I should have put that on for this. Because I do suck at fantasy football, clearly. It's
that would have
a
been funny.
recurring thing.
Okay, next
All
year.
right, boys.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for tuning into the show if you're watching. Yeah. Thanks for a great season. We'll be
Thanks
back.
for hosting this podcast.
Of course.
Thanks, guys. Sorry for the boring ending.
Not your fault. All right.
Thanks, fellas.